Hello and welcome back. I'm Natalie MacDonald and you're watching Sydney Direct on Dukascopy TV. The Australian property market is past its peak. Those are the words of my next guest, Louis Christopher of SQM Research. Louis Christopher, a pleasure as always to catch up with you. We've certainly got plenty to discuss today. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Okay, so today we're discussing the boom and bust housing report. Now, firstly, are we past that peak in housing, in your view?
In our opinion, yes. We're past the boom stage of the cycle in the Australian housing market. Our forecast is that Sydney is now going to slow down, and indeed we're already seeing some fairly strong indicators that is happening now. However, it's not going to slow down everywhere. We believe that Melbourne is actually going to take up the reign in terms of being the outperforming city for 2016. Our forecast is that Melbourne dwelling prices will rise somewhere between 8 to 13%. Sydney's going to slow down to 4 to 9%, but it's going to feel for many property investors in Sydney that the slowdown is going to be a lot worse than that, given the fact that prices have been rising between 15 to 20%. So, overall, with the Sydney slowdown, it's going to affect the national aggregate result. Our overall forecast for dwelling prices is for a rise of 3 to 8% in Australia, and there will be some cities which are going to record declines, namely Perth and Darwin. Those are the two cities with the greatest exposure to the commodities downturn. And indeed, in those cities, we're already seeing a correction. We just believe that correction is likely to accelerate in 2016.
So that commodity price downturn is really playing into some of the housing market effects that you're seeing at present then?
Absolutely, particularly in those two cities. And when you think about it, it's rather logical. With a commodities downturn, that means there's less mining jobs and mining-related jobs. And sure enough, we have seen a pickup in unemployment in those cities. We've seen a lot of loss of temporary jobs. And that's definitely affected the rental market in those two particular cities. So there's definitely a direct relationship between a city's economy and a city's housing market, no question.
Now, in the most recent Reserve Bank policy meeting minutes, they did touch on the regulatory measures that we've seen from APRA. Yes. What sort of play is that having also on housing market issues at present, and how is that going to drive this future market performance you've suggested? Yes,
the APRA initiatives have also played into our forecasts. We believe they are now having an impact, and indeed we're already seeing credit growth slow down in the Australian housing market. And it's one of the factors why we've forecasted a slowing Sydney housing market for next year. So yes, the APRA initiatives are definitely having an impact, but we don't believe APRA is going to take any more action going forward. They've largely achieved their goal now, which was to slow credit growth, and I think there's now enough evidence that is indeed happening.
So again, in terms of those key drivers that we're looking at, we've had a lot of verbal consideration regarding foreign investment into the property market here in Australia. Yes. Again, how do you foresee that playing out?
Yes, the Chinese foreign investment into Australian residential property has always been one where it's been very difficult to work out exactly what's happening. The level of data and information about it's been very grey and unclear and not very transparent, to pick the best of words for it. That said, though, I believe with the downturn in the Chinese economy and, of course, a recent stock market major correction in China, the central government of China has, of course, brought in some major policies to try and restrict the outflow of capital from mainland China with a natural view to trying to prop up asset prices back at home. And I think that's already having an impact upon the housing market here. We're getting some fairly firm reports from trusted sources on the ground that there are less Chinese foreign investors looking for a Sydney property in particular, compared to where we were back in the June quarter. How much that's actually having an effect on the market, very difficult to quantify because we just don't know with solid data how much they were in the market to begin with. But we do think that there is an impact, and we've tried to take that into account in our forecast for next year.
Louis, always a pleasure to receive your insights. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Natalie.
A pleasure, as always, to receive the insights of Louis Christopher of SQM Research. That's all we've got time for right now, but I will be back with plenty more exclusive interviews for you right here from the heart of the APAC region. Goodbye.